Hey guys, welcome back to Redstone Science. In this episode, we're going to be discussing the monostable circuit. A monostable circuit is a device which causes a signal, no matter how long the signal is on for, to only send out a one-tick pulse. You can see that here. When the piston, you'll see the difference between these two pistons actually. One piston stays up, and the other one extends and retracts immediately. Well, not quite immediately, but you get the idea. Now, you'll note that this is a sticky piston. Now, this is kind of a strange behavior for a sticky piston. You can see here, as that's what you would expect from a sticky piston. It would extend and retract with the block, but it takes 2 ticks for that to happen. When it's on 1 tick, it'll actually leave the block there. Now, you can still retrieve the block, sending in another signal. You'll also note that this will only work on what is called the rising edge. So when the lamp, or the redstone signal over here, the lamp is just to display it better, goes from off to on, the piston will extend. However, when it goes from on to off, it won't change this piston. Now this is what we call a falling edge circuit. What happens here, instead of on the rising edge, when the redstone turns on, it'll only set itself ready for when the redstone turns off. You can see that the piston over here is still retracted. And when we hit the lever again, it will then extend. Also worth noting is that when I initially created this in my test world, I had this repeater on 2 ticks. So more than likely 2 ticks will work, since that's how I saw the design initially. But it will have a chance that, depending on where you place it, if this doesn't work, then you're going to have to add another tick. With a rising edge and a falling edge, you also have a dual edge. So as the name would imply, when a signal goes from off to on, it will cause the piston to extend. And also when going from on to off. So the way this works is when this piston extends with the block will cause the redstone here to lose contact with this redstone over here, but not before the repeater down there sends out a signal, as you can see. So you can very clearly see that the repeater is on, and it is not powering this redstone up here anymore. You'll also note that this lamp is on, which means that this block is actually getting power, though it isn't powering the redstone above. That's an explanation for another video. But do keep in mind that where you place the piston is very important. I usually find it much easier to take a signal from here and extend it to wherever I need it for the piston. Now, we do also have an alternate design, which I came across actually while I was researching, and this uses a redstone block, and you can see it works just as the other one did. And the way this works is, as the block is going from one position to the other, it is actually acting as if it's not technically there, but so you can see that the redstone below is actually turning off. Now, when working with monostable circuits, sometimes you won't actually be needing it for use on a piston, and you'll actually then are going to want it to be more silent, as pistons can be very loud, especially if you have this on a clock. So what we have here, ignoring this piston over here, because that's just showing you that it's working properly, you can see that just as before, when just as before on the rising edge circuit, the piston is not changing state when this changes from on to off, but when changing from off to on, it works just as it would. Now there's also a falling edge design, slightly larger, and just as before, only when the redstone signal is going from on to off will it actually work, just as it did there. But when going from off to on, it will not. And this design I actually pieced together myself because with all the research I did, I couldn't find a working version of a dual edge silent monostable circuit. I did come across a few that had a 2-tick pulse coming out of it, but I came up with this design just as a quick way to show you the concept. Unfortunately, it's not very small, but it does the job, and it does it silently. Again, you're hearing this piston, so don't worry about that. Pretend that that piston isn't even there. You can see the redstone over there, blinking as it should. And that's going to be it for this episode. As always, I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.